Welcome to Change Starts With You, a podcast by United Way Emerald Coast. I am President and CEO Kelly Jason. I am so excited again to have another fantastic guest on our podcast. I am joined today by Hong Potomski, market leader with Florida Blue. Welcome, Hong, to
Hi,
Change Starts With
Kelly.
You.
Happy New Year.
I know. Happy New Year. It's crazy, just rolling right in and rolling along.
This is what we do.
Hurricane. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's wonderful. But we're so glad to have you here. Would love just to kick it off. Tell us a little bit about who you are and your role at Florida Blue.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm the market leader with Florida Blue. I cover between Pensacola to Panama City. So excited to be here with you and really share all the great things that we're doing together in the community across the Panhandle, specifically in the Emerald Coast. I'm the market leader and have responsibility for strategy and operations for the area. We're focused on, the health and well-being of our community and where we're able to partner with great partners like United Way of Emerald Coast that we love to lean into these relationships.
Perfect. Awesome. And so I love to fact check my own self sometimes. I'm like, where did this come about? Like, how are we sitting here today, Hong, knowing each other the way that we do and having collaborated on as many projects as we have? So I went back, and this really, our relationship started in the summer of 2022. You, I think at that time, were new to Florida Blue.
Yeah,
just
fairly
started
new.
coming on. And we were just selected for a 4-year Health Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion grant from the Florida Blue Foundation. Now, you've been a grant reviewer in the past, so you know, or you could tell us a little bit about those statewide grants and how competitive they are. That process is very thorough. So to have the little Emerald Coast be selected as one of those 4-year recipients was a really big deal, right?
Yeah, for sure. So at Florida Blue, within our foundation, we have an annual process for many of our major grants. And within that, there are certain pillars. There are pillars that our organization focuses on. And obviously, primary one is healthcare and health equity, which is the one that you guys receive. And I was very excited to see that because I was new to the organization and to see, United Way of Emerald Coast and really with you and your leadership receiving that grant was a big deal. And it's a big deal for us here in this area to really be able to invest into our community. Because as we know, when it comes to health equity and what that really means, at least from, I'm going to say my definition is ensuring that the folks in our community have the right access to care, quality health care.
Right.
But we also know that social determinants of health play into people accessing care, right? So if you don't have a roof over your head or food on the table, you're not thinking about access to healthcare unless you really need it.
Right.
And so I was excited to see that the United Way received that grant. And as we've been working together and really being able to get the message out about the importance of health and well-being, and it starts at home in our homes.
Sure does. Sure does. Yeah. So we received that grant summer 2022. And one of the objectives of our grant was that we were going to form this equity team who would help to guide us through making sure we were achieving all of our expectations for the funder and that we were just really doing the right thing for our community. And so we reached out. That I had known you a little bit, known of you from our time in Pensacola, that you had been connected to that United Way. We're going back many moons ago as I was. And so I always, knew who Hong was. I've known who you are for probably a dozen years now, and always thought you were this amazing, leader and just so genuinely invested in the community. So as we were forming that equity team and we learned that you were new to Florida Blue, we reached out. We were like, will you please serve on this with us? And you said yes. And then that grew into, then we were recruiting board members, and we were like, would you like to make the transition instead to our board of directors, where you can really influence not just our strategies on that grant, but just as an overall organization? And again, you said yes. We love our yes people. And I think now you're about a year and a half into being on the board.
Year and a half.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Man, time flies.
it sure does.
Right. And it's been such a great time. And speaking of the health equity community, it's been a great experience. And really, I commend you guys for pulling together that committee because it's brought together people within the community that have varying perspectives, right? Because obviously I could be a tad bit biased because I'm in the healthcare industry, but to have individuals representing the community talk about the needs that we have, and for then the team to then formulate, going from needs to closing that gap, whether it's with programs or working with other partners, that it's exciting to have this committee to get that feedback.
Right. Right. Yeah, we love being, truly run by our community, and to have, your own neighbors really being able to influence what we do every day. We think we're our United Way. It's not just our small staff, making the decisions, or our amazing board of directors. You can really get involved with our United Way. I think that that's really cool and kind of unique, as opposed to some other organizations. So there was a lot that we rolled into this 4-year grant. We knew, again, we weren't going to do everything day one, but I started, trying to list some of the things that we have already accomplished, as we're now about 2.5 years into that grant. And this partnership really helped us launch our ALICE simulations. We're going to come back to some of these, but we're just going to name some of them. Helped us launch our ALICE simulations, helped us look internally first. We were able to do some really incredible training for our staff, for our board, which then in turn we provided trainings to other nonprofits here in the community. We have changed some of our investment strategies in the grants that we award to other nonprofits. We've hosted some community days, trying to get into the rural pockets of our community, the areas of really greatest need, to bring resources to them. All shining stars of advancing equity, in our region. We are just now starting class 2 of ProjectLEAD, which we did earlier than we had expected with our grant, but it was something that I thought was really fun. And so we jumped in to do it a little early. But that's our program that really helps us build a diverse, talented pipeline of knowledgeable individuals that can serve on boards of directors. And we were able to recruit one of our class 1 graduates, and we've been able to place, I think almost now we're up to about half of them, which is really almost all of them that wanted and were ready to really get placed, have been placed at local nonprofits. So a huge success, and we're really excited to see what comes out of class 2. And you've been, you were involved in that a little bit too. So those are just some of the ones that really stand out to me as huge, game-changing, really meaningful for our community and for our organizations. Is there one there that really stands out to you as kind of the favorite?
Yeah, so I'm very passionate about Project Lead. And the reason being is, there are people in the community that want to get involved but just doesn't know how, right? Or they're focused on their work and the career and within their company, but how do they branch out of that and really invest in the community? And through Project Lead, it's been amazing to see, because I know this year you guys had 50 plus applicants, which is
narrow it down.
Yeah,
It's
which
so
is
hard.
amazing. And part of that is, again, being able to bring in, with this year we have 30 in the cohort.
29.
29. Okay, close to 30 individuals within the community with different perspective. I think that just allows for, great conversations around what we can do to better this community.
Right. I love that too. I think, Project Lead is probably my personal favorite piece of what we're doing together, because I've been that person. I've also served on other boards of directors, and sometimes you come in and you're scared to say anything. Like, you feel like you should already know how to read that balance sheet or that P&L. And you're like, this is probably a really silly question, so I don't want to ask it. So you stay silent, and it's such a disservice to you and to the organization really that you're serving on. So to be able, through Project Lead, to create kind of this safe space for learning, growth, development, really figuring out, how do you read financials? What is your role? What are your responsibilities? Where's the line between what a board member does versus what is the president and CEO? What do they do? Fundraising, storytelling, all of these, pieces. We have brought together a really incredible group of leaders who facilitate those workshops for our class.
Yeah, you brought up, when you were in various board positions and being new. I mean, I remember when I first started, right, whether it was a committee or board position, and I thought the same. I was like, well, how do I read this?
Right.
When am I supposed to say approve or not approve? So I'm sure through this program, many have learned basically the basics, right? And I think the flip side of this is the leaders that are going through Project Lead, they're also learning about the amazing programs that we have in the community, right? And it's great to have kind of that one-stop shop, because as a business leader and with Florida Blue, being able to see the impact of all these nonprofits in the community has been impressive.
Right. Right. It is really cool. And that's, each class they kick off with a nonprofit spotlight and they get to hear from somebody. This year, based on feedback from class one, we're actually also going to do a happy hour kind of midway
Oh,
through
very cool.
the curriculum where we do like speed dating with, the nonprofit so that they can really get to, meet somebody and hopefully find that organization that they can
Right.
be passionate about and that they can really lean into because there are so many amazing nonprofits here and
So
they're
many.
all a little bit different. And pick any cause under the sun.
Yeah.
And United Way probably has a relationship with somebody that's doing that we could introduce you to. And so really excited, for that program to continue to grow. And I hope that it stays around for a long time. Because we just want to make sure that those boardrooms are as diverse as our community,
Yeah.
right? That all people have a seat at the table, not just a seat at the table, but a voice at the table. And that's like goosebumps. Like that's the game-changing piece,
That
right? Like
is.
I'm not just here. We didn't just check a box, but I feel included. I feel valued. I feel like, I can really participate fully. And I think that that's awesome. So,
And that allows us to serve the community better, right?
right.
When we know what the community is dealing with.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, a huge other piece really was those ALICE simulations. We just really dug into them on a prior podcast. If you haven't listened to the one with Eglin Federal Credit Union yet, go and listen to that one next. But ALICE being that United Way acronym for asset limited, income constrained, employed, that's been kind of our guiding star. And we've really shifted a lot of our programs, services, and strategies to surround our ALICE households. And you've participated in some of those simulations and really getting to see those light bulb moments from community leaders who really didn't understand or know, or maybe it's been a while since they lived that life of the family who's paycheck to paycheck and how challenging that can be.
Yeah, I think was it 2 years ago, I believe when I attended the ALEC simulation.
Mhm.
It was
Mhm.
eye-opening, right? Because you think about the people that work
Right.
and you think, well, they don't need to, they have all the resources,
Sure.
right? They don't need anything. But going through that simulation, it really opened my eyes, and especially from a healthcare standpoint,
Mhm.
is depending on your income level, you don't qualify for certain services, whether it's Medicaid, Medicare, et cetera. But through going through the program, understanding what people are focused on, and especially when you only have limited dollars and you're
Mhm.
focused on paying your electricity bill, right, and
You need food,
your
right.
car, right, the things you
Sure.
actually need, you're not thinking about healthcare, and then other resources that they potentially need but don't
Right.
have access to. That going through that simulation was incredible and really eye opening. It was
Mhm.
very helpful to see what our community is dealing with, or that specific
Mhm.
demographics. And it has allowed me to really has led me to think beyond what resources, what other programs do we
Mhm.
need to focus on supporting to help that specific
Right.
demographics.
I love that. Yeah, there it just seems like the people who participate take so much away from it and really go back to their workplaces to think about their own staff. How
Yeah.
many of them are Alice? How many of them are facing this every day? And what can we do, to better serve them so that we can all, thrive and rise up and have
Yeah.
a healthier, stronger community. So one of the things I would love to touch on also next is just we're super proud of you for being a Pinnacle Award winner.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
congratulations. That's
I'm
so
so
fantastic. So well deserved. So we were really proud to see you on that list of powerhouse women making significant changes here across the Emerald Coast.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm so grateful for the recognition, but it's not a recognition for just me, but
Mhm.
it's for me and my team and all that I've worked and all the team members that I've worked with in our organization, but also in the community. So definitely want to give a shout out to all those that I've stood on their shoulders as
Mhm.
I've continued to grow into my own career.
Love that. So tell us a little bit about like what drives that personal commitment because you're not just in an office, for Florida Blue. You are in this community. That's a big territory. Pensacola to Tallahassee is a lot of road, a lot of places that you need to be, but you are in all the places.
Yeah.
So where does that passion or that drive or that determination really come from?
Yeah, that's a great question. We can either, look at our day to day and make it, fill it with things, right? And as I've continued to grow my career and then also just getting involved in the community is going back to my why, right? And it's hard to forget my why. And I say that because it goes back to my family. My family came to the States years ago. And because of this community, my parents were able to build a foundation for me and my brother.
Mm.
And because of that, I feel like it's a calling that I need to give back to this area. And so we're incredibly grateful for the support that this community gave us. And that just continues to just run in my blood.
Yeah.
And so you see me everywhere. It's part of my job, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's also a passion of mine that it's important for us to lift not only our organization, but the
Mhm.
communities we serve.
I think, yeah, you can see, you can tell again when it's genuine,
Yeah.
from individuals if they are just doing it because I'm kind of voluntold I need to serve
Yeah.
this many number of committees or boards. You are really in it and an active participant, when you're with an organization, and I think it's been really fun also to see you cultivate and develop your team. Speaking
Yeah.
about Ashley and Leslie, who I think are they a year in
They're not
now?
even a year.
Okay.
They're like 3/4 of a year, and they've been killing it.
Yeah.
But it seems like they've been on the team for a
Right,
long
forever.
time, so which is great. Yeah, they've been.
But you make sure that they also have that same,
Yeah.
shared commitment to making this community a better place. And they already, both of those, ladies were very involved, previously, which probably is why they want to, like, this
100%.
is important to Florida Blue. It's important to me, and our passions and are aligning. But, how do you inspire them? How do you motivate them? How do you just support them so that they can also be in kind of similar roles in the community?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, first, going back to just being passionate about the community is there's a point where you can't hire for that,
Mhm.
right? Like they either have it or they
Right.
don't. And Ashley and Leslie are amazing, and they believe in this community. They believe in the Panhandle, and you could tell just based on how they get involved and get connected. We were just talking about this right before the holidays, is as we continue go into Christmas, the holidays,
Mhm.
is sometimes celebrating is just self care.
Right.
Get your massage, get your facial, get your nails done. And I have to tell myself that,
Mhm.
and I make it a point to that our team, because the hustle's real, right? Right,
Mhm.
day in and day out in the field, ensuring that we're connecting with our community,
Mhm.
but we also need to take time for ourselves.
Right.
And so I, at least for my end, is I tell myself that, and so I try to instill
Mhm.
it in them is, yeah, this is great, and we get to do what we do, but we also need to take care of ourselves.
Right. Yeah, one of the ones that our mantra around the office, I've probably dropped this on a podcast or two, is you can't pour from an empty cup,
Oh,
right?
100%.
You've got to take care of
Yeah.
yourself so that you can take care of others. And
Yeah.
that is so important. And again, just working for a healthcare organization, you understand the importance of mental health and wellness.
Mhm.
And so I think that's really cool how all of that is ingrained and woven together. But just really cool to see you as a leader and to get to see you build that team and support them is just really inspiring. The way that you shout them out on social media. Not every supervisor or leader does that, and sometimes you just kind of forget to do that
Yeah.
recognition. But you're so good about it, and that must be intentional and just also a piece of who you are. And I
No, I
think somebody
appreciate
that
that.
sees it, it's
I
really
appreciate
good.
that, because as a leader, you're as strong as your team, so, it's important that they also deserve the recognition, because they're doing the work.
Yeah. They're amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be cool to see how that continues to grow. We'll get to know Ashley in Project Lead
Yes, very
this
excited for
year,
her.
so we are thrilled to have her in. So as we start to kind of wrap up our time, which is you know always goes too fast.
Yeah.
Just again with Florida Blue setting such a great example of how you can give back. Yes, you're part of like a really big organization, but your department's small and mighty.
Yeah.
So what advice, what feedback, what inspiration would you give to another, organization who's trying to get involved or trying to think about if that's something that they could, do with their teams or with the community?
Yeah. So with our team and our organizations, we live, work, and play in the communities we serve. And because of that, we need to be in tune with what's happening in the community, right? And so for us, partnering with United Way and your team has been incredible to really learn about what's happening in the community. We're only so big, as you said, as far as our immediate team, but in order to really be able to touch the community in a more broad way, is being able to lean into relationships and work with organizations like United Way of Emerald Coast.
Yeah, we love that. Yeah, collaboration over competition. We're stronger
100%.
together. Like there's so much alignment, in kind of our missions and our visions and our purpose. And so I
Mhm.
think that is, really cool. That's funny that earlier you touched on kind of what health equity means. And that's almost exactly, what I had written down, that you all are doing really great at that step of making sure that they have access to quality healthcare. And I see United Way's role in that, and really being, how can we address those social determinants? How can we ensure that our ALS households are strong, that people have the education that they need, the income that they need, which are really things that influence our overall health, physical and mental as well. So just so cool to have you guys as a partner. It has been just so fun the last couple years, and I hope that it's a partnership that continues for a really long time as well. But thank you for all that
Thank
you
you. We
do.
appreciate your partnership and your leadership, Kelly.
Yeah, it's really fun to do it together. So if you are not yet involved with United Way Emerald Coast, you're looking for a way to give back and to do things in our community, reach out to Hong, hear about her experience with United Way, follow up with us. Again, if it's not us, we have dozens of partners in our back pocket, and our goal is just ultimately to help you find an organization that you can believe in and that you can really get involved with, because all these little things are what make the Emerald Coast the best place for all of our residents.
Best kept secret.
You got it. Awesome. Thank you. Hope to see you soon on our next podcast.